JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, January 23rd, 2025, 8:57 on this fine Thursday. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P coming off the lows here this morning, but we have 3 consecutive sessions to the upside, and then maybe some consolidation here today. Actually, S&P future actually not down too much, about a tenth of a percent. Just had the weekly jobless claims come in a tad higher than expectations. You hate to see bad data, right? I mean, not hate it. If you trade the market and you're bullish, you kind of want to see a little weaker than expected data to kind of offset that inflation narrative and the possibility that the Fed's not going to cut rates whatsoever here in 2025. But yesterday, all the way up to that 607 spot, which was the handle we hit back at the start of December as the S&P was hitting all-time highs, and then chopped around, then a little pull into the afternoon. So maybe a little more consolidation here today, and then that 610 handle. It sounds like a broken record from 2 months ago, but I think that comes at some point. So just some things of note, though. Despite the rally yesterday in the S&P and the NASDAQ, small caps took it on the chin. Some of it maybe rising rates, yields went up again yesterday. So did the US dollar. So hopefully those start to come back in check. And then next week is a big week. So you have the Fed meeting on Wednesday, which I don't know how much more Fed Chair Powell can surprise markets. So it's probably not going to be more about that, but we have earnings. So Wednesday, you have the Fed statement and press conference, and then you have Microsoft, you have Meta, and you also have Tesla. So that's Wednesday after the close. And then Thursday after the close, you have Apple. And then there's a whole slew of other earnings reports that day as well, next week as well. So definitely will be a little more active week in regards to earnings and some possible catalysts here. But upper Bollinger Band on the SPY is 606.50, so close right above that. So maybe a little consolidation and some more highs. And then look at the charts I posted on the watch list, the US dollar and the 10-year yields. They've been riding pretty much in lockstep since September. So that has not changed. All right, so now individual names. First, I'll just talk really quick about Netflix. So all the way up to $9.99 yesterday morning after the open, and then just like a slow, meticulous meltdown. It was controlled selling. It wasn't like a huge pullback, panic selling, or anything like that. So, which to me means there's going to be an opportunity to play a bounce back over 1,000 at some point. So I don't know if it's going to be today. I'll add some strikes. Maybe it'll be Friday. It could be next week. But not only that, I think the higher it is, the more the louder the rumblings will get in regards to doing a split, because it's just a matter of time before they're going to do another split. They have a history of doing the splits. The splits. It sounds like a song. The Splits or a band. The Splits. But I have to think at some point that's going to happen. So certainly, depending on the premiums, I was looking at the thousands, which didn't come down too much considering. Those might be a spot I add on weekly strikes if it shows some strength here today. But also take a look at this meltdown. Just a slow, meticulous. It's not a beatdown, right? It's just a slow, meticulous meltdown. So we'll see how today plays out. Which of course brings me to Roku. And if you had told me that Netflix report a monster quarter, monster raised guidance, huge sub ads, the most sub ads they've had in their entire history, I would say, wow, Roku would be up almost in tandem with Netflix, up 5 to 10%. And it did nothing, right? It was green for most of the day, but then just a little pull at the end of the session to close slightly in the red. I still like that one into earnings. They'll have their earnings. I keep saying it's going to be mid-February. February 15th is a Saturday, so I don't know if it's going to be, it'll probably be the following week, so I'll look for some calls to encompass that. February 21st strikes probably, maybe the 105s, 110s. Play for some premium build into the report, be able to lock some in, cover costs, ride the rest. Trip, not much here to add on Trip, although it is gapping. I wouldn't say gapping. It's up like 20% here in the pre-market, actually 25 cents. Just some consolidation, pretty much flat on Tuesday, and then Wednesday was actually, yesterday was in the green or flat for most of the day, and then just an end of the session like 3:15 to just a little meltdown, and then actually some volume into the close. It's closed down 1%. Nothing, the story hasn't changed, so I think this one had 1666 the next spot, and then you start looking over up near 18 from November. I think that gets hit in the coming week or two. And then some other names. So you had the Stargate news or announcement Tuesday evening and rumors about it. Then you had all the semi names running yesterday. AristaNetworks was a name I used to trade a lot, especially pre-split. That was running yesterday in the morning. So I was looking for some other names to trade. And sure enough, AMD, which I always look at as an opportunity at some point, that's going to start to, I wouldn't say outperform, but it's gonna have a decent bounce, right? So Got some calls yesterday as it started showing signs that, hey, maybe this could be the day it's going to have have a strong session and then follow through into the end of the week. Sure enough, it pulled back into the close, but the rest of the names still up 1%, but still like this one for higher in the coming weeks. I, you know, tough trying to catch a falling knife, right? So it started January, it looked like it was ready to bounce all the way up to 130, and then boom, all the way down to multi-year lows in mid-January. So it's been a slow, meticulous bounce to the upside. At some point it's going to break out. So I'll continue to look for opportunities on that one. MDB had a repeat session from Tuesday. So all the way up to 265 and then gave it back into the afternoon. This time closed over 260. Similar name. If it holds 258 today, I might look for some strikes into next week or even further out because I think it's testing 280, 285 plus in the coming weeks. Yeah, I haven't mentioned gold in a couple weeks, but I mean, I'm still shocked it's up here, and some of it, of course, is central banks buying gold or what have you. But that whole landscape has changed, considering where it's huge rally. I mean, it had its biggest rally in 2024 in decades. So I think there's just an opportunity at some point. It's going to have a pull. So I'll continue to look for opportunities to play for that one for downside. I don't know if it's going to be this week or next week, but it's. I think it heads back to 2,600. And then I was saying 2,450 back in November and December. I think that's a good target here in 2025. And then, it's like you can rationalize it because all these other possible store values. That's gold. Adobe, I spent a little too much time talking over the last couple sessions, but still a nice pincher, setting up pretty much flat yesterday. 440 is the big spot. If 440 breaks, I'll look for some further out strikes. It was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 straight sessions to the upside. And then one of these sessions, when it breaks, it's going to be a 4 or 5% move to the upside, which will do wonders for the calls. Other things to note, IntuitiveSurgical reports after the close today. It's running up here, gapped up to 615 this morning. Tough one to trade. The only thing that's going to change outside they're going to announce procedural growth, right? That's the big thing about IntuitiveSurgical. So they have all their Da Vinci robots that they send out, which are the high ticket items, right? The hospitals pay for millions of dollars for these units. And then the thing about that is they have consumable parts with every surgery that's performed by a Da Vinci robot. So that's their procedures, right? So if they have a 10, 15, 20% procedural growth, it's like the Gillette razor model. You get that little Gillette razor in the consumer's hand, in this case, the hospitals, and then they're replacing the razor part of that razor product every couple months or whatever. So for surgicals, they're replacing parts to do the surgeries. So I wish I could get some calls here, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a nice beat there. But how much more upside? Maybe 625 or so. So I'll probably just sit on sidelines. But what a monster that one has been. I'm trying to think of some other names. Yeah, Roku's up here in the pre-market at $80. It's only up 40 cents, but again, surprised it did not move up in tandem with Netflix. I'm trying to think of some of the other names. Caterpillar. I don't know why I don't have Caterpillar up here. It ended its 6-session winning streak yesterday, but not by much. And it's right here. I think it heads over 400 today, or maybe even tomorrow. And then 408's that big spot. But they report earnings a week from today. I think they report pre-market on the 30th. So tough to trade, or at least add some calls for premium bill, considering its huge move. So it's a name. I think it heads higher, but I'll probably just sit on the sidelines on that one. I put Weave on the watch list as well. Weave has tight Bollinger Band set up. It's one of my top 5 stocks for 2025. At some point, that one's going to start to break out to all-time highs. So I might look for some strikes there. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.